I'm just interested in the human brain. So they emulate human eyes. And the brain, the eye is a good place to start. Because if you want to do things with the human brain, you want to try to emulate things in the human brain, you need some input. You need something for the brain to process. And the eye is a good starting place because it gives you some images which you can then process. And you can do all kinds of things with it. This one's been developed over 7 or 8 years. And just a little bit at a time whenever. There was a maker fair about 6 years ago. And at that time, there was only one eye. And all it did was when something changed, it looked at that area. Over those past 6 years, I've added the next eye and wrote more software. There's a lot of software in here to make it work. Another thing you could do is put an ear on each side. So a microphone on each side. And that way it can tell where the sound is and then look at wherever the sound is coming from. You could, with the microphones, you could show it an object and say, this is Bob, or this is a cat. And then it would associate the cat with the object. And then if you make it speak, then when it sees a cat, it could say cat. This is very using, I would say, off-the-shelf commercial type approach. Whereas getting into actually emulating the human brain, it's going to be less interesting. You won't see as many interesting things. Like the human eye doesn't see very well. The central portion is where you see most of very high resolution, but surrounding that is very low resolution. And as you go out of your vision, it's more black and white, whereas most of your colors in the middle of your vision. So it'd be nice to emulate that. So I would take the image and I would convert it into something like that. So it's less interesting to look at in a setting like this, but it's very interesting to me because it's doing it the way the brain does it. Some of it's found parts, but a lot of it's 3D printed. But there's local places here in town like pieshop.ca is a website where people buy stuff, order stuff, but you can also pick stuff up there. So these motors, the Arduino board, they came from Pi Shop. So I buy things. This right here is a desktop PC power supply that I've modified. This is a microwave oven case metal. This is a 3D printed faceplate, So, these parts that came from a microwave oven, this came from an old computer. These probably came from other electronics that I've scrounged. Learning how to use particular software. For example, the cameras here, I have to capture those images into the computer. Just learning how to use that software from my own code. Like, how do I use that software to get an image? That was hard. I'm also using a neural networking software to do the object recognition. And I'm using open source software, but somehow I had to reprogram it so my software can communicate with that software. And I think those were the most difficult parts. Another difficult part was just manufacturing this mechanism for the robotics. How to make two motors move the eyes like that. And that took several versions. Plus, I need to make it fit inside a human skull. So, that took a few different versions to figure out how to make it small enough that it will all fit in human skull, because this is the same spacing as a human eye. And the eyeballs here, the circles, even though they're just decorative, every human eye from birth to death is around 1 inch in diameter. So,
what if they get punched or something bad or changed?
That shouldn't damage it, but it wouldn't change the size of it. Yeah. So just making all that work following human dimensions is also difficult. On the side.